welcome to Creative Touch's first session of 2025. My name is Chanda and I am your artist. We're here at Creative Touch, where we help people create the paint and sip experience from home. So I come on, I will show you a painting, and I'll teach you how to do that painting step by step. We use acrylic paint. You bring your own brushes, you bring your own canvas, you bring your own water, paper towels, all that stuff, and then you just paint. Just have fun. You can play music. I don't usually play music because all these copyright issues, but you can play music for yourself at home. You can bring your friends and family with you, and they can paint along with you. It's a good time. So today what we're going to be doing is kind of just, I'll introduce myself a little bit more, find out a little more about me, and then we will get into some of the stuff that I wish I had known when I first started painting that would have helped me kind of acclimate myself to what painting is all about. Because I started off as a, what can you say? Like, I like to draw. So I still love to draw. That's like my first love when it comes to art. So I started off as more of an illustrator than a painter. And so when I transitioned to painting, I was still painting like I was drawing, which you do apply drawing to painting, but not in the same way. So we're gonna go over a couple things there, just some things to help you out. This is really for people who are just beginning or people who just wanna be here and have a good time. So I hope you have something good to drink, some good food. Of course, drink responsibly if you are having alcohol, and I'm going to go over a couple steps. Okay. So I have a couple things with me here today. I just wanted to kind of go over the setup. So for the setup, you're going to need your water cup, of course, a cup of water that you're going to be painting in. This was actually my daughter's cup. We went out to eat at a diner and they gave her her drink in this cup. And she didn't need the cup anymore, so I kept it and I just use it to paint in. I can just pour the water out, replace it, use it. Permanent cup. I don't have to keep on buying new cups. So find a good cup that you don't mind getting paint on and use that as your water cup. You're always going to need brushes. I like to use round brushes because they have like a nicer tip. And this is good for like when you want to like do fine detail, whether you use one that's kind of medium sized like this or a little one like this that has a fine tip. I use a lot of medium brushes. This is a filbert brush. It kind of looks like almost like a blend between the flat brush and the round brush. It kind of has like a curved tip, but it's flat this way, whereas this one is kind of full, kind of like a makeup brush really. But anyway, so makeup. So this is the filbert. I use this sometimes with my other paintings, but for purposes here, I usually just use my round brushes. I like to have 3 different sizes. A really big one, a medium-sized one, and a small one, just so that it can capture whatever I'm trying to do. The big one is really for the background to cover everything up, and the smaller ones are for like fine details that are in your painting, and then the medium one is to kind of do most of the painting. So all the like the not the minor details, but the major details, you'd be using that. Paper towels. I grabbed this roll of paper towels at Walmart. It came 2 in a pack. They were like $2. Paper towels. You do not need the fanciest paper towels that there are out there. I mean, if you want to, you can, but it's really not that serious. That's more so just to clean up. And what I do is I take a couple, like here I took 3 paper towels, and I just kind of fold them together like that. And then that's going to be used to mop up any water that I spill. Also, when I clean my brushes in the water cup, I'm going to dip them into, I'm going to dab them on the paper towel so that I'm not dripping paint all over the place. Keeping your place clean. I don't think you should have too many accidents, depending on how drunk you get, right? No, seriously, you shouldn't have too many accidents with this if you are just painting. You shouldn't, drunk or not, you shouldn't knock anything over. But if you do, this stuff does come out. So as long as you get paper towels, water, it comes out with water. You don't have to use soap, you don't have to use any of that. If it sits for more than 30 minutes though, it's kind of iffy. Now, the other day, I was painting and I had on my sweatshirt because I was freezing, and I was like, I really need to stay warm. So I left my sweatshirt on and I painted. And then I looked up and I had painted my whole sleeve, and I was like, ah! And I noticed it had been on there for a little bit, no more than 30 minutes though. And so I went to the sink and I scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed, and I rubbed that up. Sorry, things are falling over here. And I was able to get it out. Soap and water, got it out, and it was red paint on a light gray sweatshirt. Anyway, it came out, so that's good news. Don't get it on your clothes. Don't get it in your hair. Don't eat it. Don't drink from the water cup. All things that are bad. Because it's not toxic, so if you did drink it, it wouldn't be the worst thing ever, but you don't want to do that. Okay, so the paint. Now, brand-wise, I like using Amsterdam acrylic. They're not like a sponsor on this video or anything like that. I just like that paint. I've also used golden acrylics. Golden acrylics is actually really good. I might switch and do a couple paintings with that one as well, just so you can see the difference in case you want to try before you buy. Technically, they also sell their paint in tiny little, not tiny little, but they sell them in smaller tubes, smaller bottles. So if you wanted to just kind of sample it for a specific painting, you could do that. But I use Amsterdam acrylic. The primary colors, yellow, red, blue, and then black isn't primary, but it is a color that I use a lot, and white. I use a lot of white, so I bought a really big one. Those are the colors that you can mix to get most of the colors on a painting that you would do. So you don't have to go out and spend a ton of money. If you were to get Amsterdam acrylic in this size, if you got it online, usually about $4 or $5. If they have a sale, it's less. And this is, how many milliliters is this? 120 milliliters. I can usually do 6, 7 paintings with a tube of this. Some colors get used up quicker than others, like black and white, obviously. I did a painting, I haven't painted seriously in a while, but I did a painting about a year ago, and I used almost a whole tube of this yellow on that one painting. But that was a really big painting, so yeah. So that's the paint. So we've talked about the paint, we've talked about the brushes, we've talked about the paper towels, water, canvas. When I teach the typical classes, I usually use a canvas that's 16 by 20, but we don't want to do all that today because we're not trying to be here all night. Although it would be wonderful to be here all night with you guys. But I'm going to use a small canvas, and I'm going to be instructing using a painting that I did with my daughter a couple years ago. She is 8 years old now, but when we did this painting, she was, I want to say 4 or 5. It's really cute. It's right here. She was 4 or 5 years old, and we did this painting together. I kind of did the background part, and I had her do this part. So she did this, and she used her fingers to do it. I'm not going to use my fingers for that part today. If you want to, you can. You can really use whatever you want. You can use fingers. You can use sponges. Whatever. We're going to be using brushes. And I really just want to show you how easy it is to get started. I know some people are very intimidated by paint, and I want to just kind of dispel some of these fears and allay your fears and let you know that it is very doable. You can totally do this and have fun at home. And I mean, worst case scenario, you just have a good time hanging out with me, painting, having something to drink. And then, I don't know, you go out with your friends later, you go sleep later. If you're me, you really just go sit down and catch your breath later. So I know that weren't aware of what we were going to be doing today, so I want to honor the people who need to go grab utensils to do this, because I am going to show you how to do the background of this painting, because I know some people look at a painting and they're just like, I don't even know where to begin with that, which was me when I was just starting out. I had no idea how to start. So I'm going to show you how to do it with a painting that's simple. This is a painting, like I said, I did it with my 4 or 5 year old. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So this one is good for kids. So if you have a child that you want to show this to, you can, and they can do that, or they can watch this video later and they can paint it themselves. So to give people some time, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to go get something to paint with, some brushes. If you have a canvas, you can go get a canvas. If you have, it doesn't necessarily have to be a canvas. It could be paper. There is painting paper. Yes, there is. It's kind of like cardboard. It's really thick. You can get that. You have a thicker paper that you can use for that. You also have, I've forgotten what they're called, but they're kind of like flat boards, and you can paint on those. If you have that, that's good too. This is really small, so you don't really have to do too much. I kind of just want to give you some instruction on how to paint with the paintbrush and not draw like I was trying to do. So we're going to do that. So I'm giving you 5 minutes. And in those 5 minutes, I'm just going to, I guess, talk a little bit about me. So my name is Chanda, and I am, it's weird calling myself an artist because I wasn't that for a long time. But I guess I am. I'm an artist. I have been painting for a really long time. I think the first time I ever painted was with oil. Actually, no, it was actually watercolor. So my parents had gone out and bought watercolor paint because that's what they had available. And so they bought watercolor paint, and I made a mess of that. And I used to always wonder, how come my painting looks so thin and watery, and it doesn't look like what people are doing on like professionals? Like, it doesn't look like their paintings at all. There must be something wrong with this paint. And then I found out that no, watercolor paintings come out thin like that, and you have to layer it. I did not know anything about layering paintings. I'm going to be talking about layering today and how we layer the painting in there. But anyway, so I started with that when I was really little, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I got into it seriously when I was in college. I would say about junior year of college. So that would have been 2003, 2004-ish. So I started painting there, and they didn't tell us what you're supposed to do. They just gave us brushes, canvas. We had to stretch our own canvases, by the way. And they showed us how to do it. That part wasn't intimidating at all. They showed us how to do it. I was like, yay, let's go, I'm about to paint. And then they're like, okay, here is the setup. This is the scene, paint this scene. And I'm like, I didn't have half the colors needed to get that done. So I was like, excuse me, I don't have this color, this color, this color. And my instructor, my professor was like, yeah, you need to mix them. And I'm like, okay, but I don't know which colors make, like, she wanted us to make green, and she didn't give us blue or yellow. And we needed to make green. And I'm like, how do you make green? There's no blue. There's no blue to add to the yellow. Actually, she did give yellow, but she didn't give blue. She's like, you need to make green. And I was like, did you know that if you mix yellow and black, you actually get an olive green? I don't know that. Oh my gosh. I did not know that. But found that out because other people tried mixing. Like, nobody really knew. We were all new painters, new artists, and nobody knew how to do that. But people were playing around with the paint, and they're like, hey, just mix black and yellow. And I'm like, oh, mixed it, and I got the green. And I was like, yay. I ended up getting an A in that class. So that was really exciting. But yeah, so there's that. That's how long I've been painting. I am married. I've been married for, it'll be 10 years this year. I can't believe it. I've been with my husband. Let's see. It'll be 18 years this year. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's been 18 years, but it's been a great 18 years. It's a person that I found my person. So I'm very happy that happened. My arm started itching. I started pulling these sleeves down, and I just realized that they need to be up because you don't want long sleeves on this. Paint gets on stuff. So we've been married for that long. We have 2 daughters. One is 8, and one is about 15 months. So will I ever bring them on? I might bring the older one on because she really likes to paint. The younger one is just learning how to walk. She can't talk yet. She babbles mostly. But maybe I'll bring the older one on to do some of the kids' paintings. She wanted to be here today, actually. She wanted it because this is her painting. She's like, Mom, where are you taking my painting? And I'm like, I'm just going to teach people how to paint with it. Anyway, I think that is 5 minutes. So let's get started with how to do this. We want to recreate this. And to do that, I'm going to move these brushes over. This is a flat brush. I almost never use this brush. That's why it looks so clean. I bought this years ago, but I almost never use it. But I will. It's definitely going to get used at some point because, I mean, it's going to get used. All right, so I have the exact same canvas over on the side here, and we're going to paint this. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at this painting, and I want you to look at the background. Like if you were to ignore the leaves here, these rainbow leaves, if you were to ignore the branches, you would see that the background is pink. And if you look at the direction of the brush strokes, you'll kind of see that they're going in a circular manner here. Kind of going in a circle, and then you'll see that here it looks like it started off just covering, and then in this middle it's a circle. Again, that was my 4 or 5-year-old daughter who painted this, so it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to look good, and I mean, I think it looks good. I think she did a phenomenal job with this. I did this part for her because I knew 4-year-old hands cannot steadily hold the brush and get these in, but this part, we're going to do that at the end. So what we're going to do first is just the background. So to do the background, and we need to get pink. To get this pink color, we need to mix red and white. Now, how much red and white you use is going to depend on you. It's going to kind of be a little bit of trial and error to see how dark or light you can, how dark you can get it. I'm going to move this over here, and then you can still kind of look at it. Let's center it right there so you can still see it, and then I'm going to move the one that I'm going to be painting on right there. So I'm going to get a little bit of red, a little bit of white. I have some white there already. Now red is very strong, so you will definitely not want to go heavy with the red. So I didn't say this before, but you do need a palette to paint. This is a palette. You use this to paint your painting. So you do need this. You need that palette. You can use a plate, a paper plate as your palette, plastic plate as your palette. You can use those to-go cups. Those to-go boxes as your palette. Really, it's your world. You're at home. Ain't nobody checking on you. Well, I mean, the life police are not going to come and check, oh my gosh, you totally used it. No. So, something disposable, use that as your palette. I got this for $2 at an art supply store. So, this is when I was still living in Virginia. I got it from there. So I'm going to get, since red is very strong, very little red paint. And I'm going to mix it into the white to kind of get this pink. Now I want this pink to be like the pink there. Now this is a painting that I did 4 or 5 years ago, so it's not going to be the exact same pink because I believe the pink I used in there was a pink that was already pre-mixed. And so those ones that are pre-mixed, they know what they did to get those mixings into the state that they're in. Another thing that you want to not do when you're mixing paint is mix so wide that you paint the whole palette or plate and you run out of paint by the time you're done. Don't do that. But anyway, here we go with that. I want to make it a little bit darker because in the middle it's going to be a little light. So I'm just going to go back in and add more red. It's easier to start with a little bit of red and then just keep on adding to make it darker rather than starting off light and then you keep on adding white to it because it could just end up being a mess. So you don't want to do that. So okay, so I have some dark pink here. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to paint. Now, I want this to swirl like that in the end, but But I also want to cover the space. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to cover the entire space with pink paint. Then when I'm done with that, I'm going to come back in and swirl some white into the middle to kind of make it look like there's light coming from the center of the painting. And you can use water to kind of stretch your paint. And I'm going left to right. If you want to go up and down, you can. I'm going left to right. Again, this is not going to be the exact same shade as the painting I used the first time, and you can use whatever color you want. This is just a sample painting for us to use to kind of understand how this works. I'm using also a small brush to do this background, but typically I would use a bigger brush to do this background. It's up to you. Get a little more paint here. And I'm going left to right. Now, one thing I want to tell you about painting backgrounds, you need to pick a direction and stick with it. So if you want to start going if you want to start with left and right, okay, but stick with left to right. Don't do left to right and then I do this here and then here I do this and then here I come back and I kind of like do like no. Pick a direction and then stick with that direction. Don't jump all over the place. Unless that's what you're painting. Unless that's what you want in your painting, then okay. It's your painting, you can really do what you want. But if you want to do what I'm doing, then pick a direction. I tend to go left to right because usually what I'm painting is in nature, and nature things are kind of in order, and especially backgrounds, you usually want a left to right action, unless you're doing like clouds or something. Then you can kind of do a little bit more. But yeah. So we have that up there. Boom, boom, boom. Doop, 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 doop. I also recommend painting the sides of your painting, and this type of paint, it's not considered professional artist paint. This is like their standard series, so it's not going to go on as thick as if you got the more expensive professional paint. Which if you want to shell out a little more cash and get the professional paint, you go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that, but if you want to do that, you are more than welcome. Actually, I do that for some of the other paintings that I do. The ones that I sell and that are not going to just live in my studio here, those ones I will go out and spend a little more money and get some good paint. Good quality paint, like I'll just get the more expensive series than the one that I'm using. So same brand, just not the student series or the standard series, simple series. Here we go. Left, right, and you see how it kind of, it's all getting covered? Covered, covered, covered. I remember hearing that song a lot when I was little. I don't know what that TV show was. It was like horns that would play in the background. Just going back over it to kind of fill in the gaps. That helps fill in the gaps. That was me just trying to get paint onto the canvas. And it looks like I have ran out of paint here, so I'm going to squeeze out a little more. A little more white. And a little bit more red. I have red there, and the red is very strong, so I'm just going to brush in to mix in some. I always start in the corner because sometimes I don't know if I'm going to use it all. Some more red. The red is very strong, like I was saying before, so don't go crazy with it. I just put it in the corner. I left some of the white as is because we do need to add white to the middle. Here we go, here we go. There we go. Also, if you don't want your paint to come out too thin, don't add as much water to it. Just use straight up paint. You can add, I mean, of course you can add water to your brush to stretch it out, but straight up paint. And if there's anyone leaving me comments, I will definitely respond to comments when the live is over because I can't see your comments while I am doing this. But I will get to them. There we go. Okay, so we have just covered the whole section here, and I did make sure that I kind of covered the sides. If you want to paint the full side, you can. I'm not going to do that today, but you can paint the full side. Now, if you look at the original painting, you'll see that there is like a circular white in the middle. And so instead of mixing in this shade of pink that's there, what I'm going to actually do is just pick up some white paint. Picking up some white paint just like that. And then I'm going to start from the middle, and then I'm going to, I do need to have one hand here to kind of center it and not, well, I think my hand is just going to have to get messy because I need to hold this down so it does not move. And then I'm just going to start in the middle, and I am just going to make circles. So I started in the middle, and then I'm going outwards. See that? And then I still need to keep going with it. And I don't want this paint to sit here because it will dry. If you leave it on thick like that, it'll dry as it is. I still need to put in some more. And smooth that out, smooth out anything that's raised. Unless you want that texture, then that's fine too. And you can go as far out with this as you want or not. Depends on how big you want this circle to be. Typically, I would have done this with a bigger brush, but since I already started with this smaller brush, we're just going to stick with that. And then I'm just going to go in a circle. And you see how the pink kind of mixes with it. So maintain that circle. Here. And I remember when I was in art school, I was taking art classes in college. My professor said that you always want to kind of step back from your painting and look at it and confirm that you like what you're doing. I'm going to put a little more white in the middle. Looks like this is starting to shed. Pull those out just to kind of lighten it because I blended it so much that it kind of lost its color. Okay. There we go. Now, there's way more to this painting, obviously, but this needs to dry. So what we're going to do is we are going to give this some time to dry, but since this is not a full painting session, I'm going to, because it needs maybe like 10-20 minutes to dry enough for us to come back in and put in all this other stuff. But that's pretty much it. That's the last step. We've done the background here. It's a pretty nice background. And then we would just have to go back in and put in the tree and then the leaves. Now, I would challenge you, because really the background is the hardest part of this painting. I would challenge you, after this is dried for like 10-20 minutes, I would challenge you to go back in and put in your tree and put in your leaves. Now these are like rainbow leaves. Of course you can do your leaves in whatever colors you want, but there is a layer of red leaves, a layer of orange leaves, a layer of yellow leaves, a layer of green leaves, a layer of blue leaves, and some violet leaves over here, and there's some dark green over there that were put in just to kind of make it look more like a natural tree and not a rainbow tree. You can use your fingers to do that. You can use a paintbrush to do that. But I would challenge you to try it. Try it at home and see if you can get close to what we have here. And that would be awesome, though. And then I will come back with another live again. And we can do it again on Thursday next week. Yeah, we can come back on Thursday next week and pick up from where we left off. And I will continue to show you how to finish painting this. But thank you so much for joining me today and getting into painting the backgrounds. If you want to paint something like this or other paintings, I have more paintings on my Patreon. You can check that out on my Instagram page right here. The link is in my bio. I also have a YouTube channel where I will be sharing more painting tips, more ways to have fun with paint, get your friends together and just enjoy. So definitely like this video if you like what you saw, subscribe, and I hope to see you again on the next one. Bye.